Okay, here is the video guide for lesson 2.3.1, the second to last lesson here in chapter 2, and we're going to focus on the triangle inequality. Now, what the triangle inequality is if you know two of the side lengths of a triangle, is there restrictions on that third length? And so let's take a look at the first problem. Here's an example. We have one of the sides being 3, another side being 4, and then asking if the third side could be 25. That's the idea, is there going to be a restriction? And so without drawing it, without thinking too much about it, do you think it's possible to form a triangle with these given side lengths? If you think it is, then explain why you believe it is, say yes and explain why. If you don't believe it is, say no and explain why. Here it's just introducing what the next 4 slides are going to be and pretty much saying use the E tool, and then we're going to reflect each time and think deeply about, okay, why is this one working or why is this one not working? And what we mean by working and not working is they're going to give you 3 side lengths, 3, 5, and 10, and you're going to use the E tool and plug those in. So click on the E tool, change this to 3, change this to 5, and change this one to 10, and see if you can form a triangle by moving B and B, because you want to make that onto one point B. And here you can see that this one's not working so well, okay? And so I can answer the question saying I cannot get this to form a triangle because I can't connect points B and B. You're going to try that with each and make sure that you try your best to get it. Okay? Because ready we have a no, and I'll tell you that there is a no, a yes, a no, 2 yeses, and another no somewhere in here. Okay? And so after you work through those examples, you move on to the reflection, probably the most important part of this lesson, reflecting on these last 4 slides and saying, okay, which ones worked, which ones didn't work, and why? And the one thing I would be looking for is look at my short side lengths and then in comparison to the long side length. Okay, adding, subtracting, what's happening there? And one thing that I like to bring up in that term is when I add this length here, 3, and this length 5, I get 8, and this length B here is 10, and it just looks like it's too long. So think about what I could maybe change or adding, subtracting, what I could do to figure out what length would actually work, and that would be a good reflection into this box here. Going on to the next one, we start getting into what it would be the maximum, the longest it could be, what could be the shortest it could be. And we get into that here, into this triangle inequality, talking about the maximum and minimum limits. I'm going to do this one here for you. And so it should connect to your reflection, hopefully, what you reflected about. But what I'm going to do here is for the maximum value, what I do is I take my 2 side lengths that I know and I add them together. And so I say the maximum value has to be less than 32 in this case. Okay? Because when you added them together, it equaled 32. And then if that's any bit longer than 32, they won't form a triangle. The minimum value, you're going to take these numbers here, 19 and 13, and you're going to subtract them. So 19 minus 13 would give you 6, and that's going to be your minimum value, and it's anything greater than 6. And so I say minimum is going to be have to be greater than 6. Okay? And so that would be my triangle inequality. That side length could be anything between 32 and 6. It can't be 6 because 6 plus 13 is 19, and it's going to be an issue like we see here. Sorry, one back, one more. It's going to be an issue like this where 3, 5 equals 8. It can form a straight line but can't form a triangle. So it's got to be, in our case, a little bit bigger than 6, but less than 32. Okay, and you'll repeat that process here. And then finally, in the last one, we get to formulate our formula saying our maximum is going to have to be less than A plus B. And so I'm going to write that like this. It's going to be less than A plus B. And our minimum is going to have to be greater than, A or B minus A, depending on which one's bigger. Okay? And that is it. If you'd like to see another example worked, please just email me and ask or state what question you want to see further explanation for, and I'll happily make that for you.